Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can get tree cookies and simulated tree cores to use for a dendrochronology unit. Okay, let's start with tree cookies. The easiest time to get them for free is around Christmas time. I hit up Home Depot and Lowe's and Christmas tree lots, and I just ask them for the stumps that they cut off when they send Christmas trees home with people. So these are free ones that I got this year. And then all you need is some sandpaper and some elbow grease. Okay, the first thing you're going to need to do is teach students how to count the rings. Each year of growth for a tree has two rings technically. There's a light colored band and a dark colored band. The light colored band is spring growth, and then the dark color, as the cells get more compact and smaller, they look darker, is the end of summer growth. And then we know that the trees go dormant in the winter time. They kind of slow down, stop growing, and then they'll do it again the next year. So students count the rings on the tree. They need to know that two rings, or one light and one dark ring, make up 1 year. You can also teach students other characteristics that they can look for. Christmas tree stumps, since they're young and small, don't usually have super cool characteristics, but you could still teach them and show them pictures of what fire scars would look like, irregular growth patterns. Maybe the tree was leaning and so the rings are all kind of distorted. Maybe there's insect infestation. So there's lots of different things that they can observe and make inferences of, just based on looking at the cookies. And you don't need a microscope or anything. That's things that they can observe. If you are a dendrochronologist and you want to collect data on trees, if you have a tree cookie, then that means the tree got cut down and it got killed, and we don't want to do that. So what they do instead is they take tree cores, where they use an increment borer and they turn it until it goes into the pith, which is the center part of the tree, and they pull it out. And so they have this long skinny tube called a tree core. So since those are hard to come across, I'm going to show you how you can make your own using a straw and some clay. You're going to need two different colors because we're going to have light colored and dark colored rings, just like we talked about when we talked about the tree cookies. There's a couple options. If you use modeling clay, if you've used this before, then you know that this stuff is pretty firm. It's tougher to use, but it doesn't dry out. So if you want to have simulated tree cores that you can use year after year and not remake them each year, then use modeling clay. If you want a quicker, easier way, you can use Play-Doh, but if you've used Play-Doh before, you know that it does dry out. So this is one I made a while ago, and we know Play-Doh kind of shrinks as it dries out, and then it'll just slide out of the straw. So this would be more of a one-time use if that's what you decide to use. All right, so let's start with the Play-Doh. Again, you're going to need two colors, and you're going to want contrasting colors just so it's easier for students to see the layers. So I have green, and I have white here. And spring growth, whatever color you're going to use to represent spring growth, is generally always going to be thicker and fatter than the end of summer growth. So pick one of the colors. I'm going to use white for the spring growth. Okay, and you're going to want to roll it out, and it's going to be thicker than the other color. So there is my white. Here is my green. Use a rolling pin just to make it easier, and I'm going to roll this one out nice and thin. Okay, so I have my straw. This is going to represent like the increment borer that goes into the tree, and I'm going to be sticking it in, alternating back and forth. So here is my spring growth. Just stick it in and wiggle it a little bit so the clay comes with, and that one's nice and thick. And then I'm going to stick it in the green for the summer growth, and you're just going to go back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so right now so far I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of growth. If you want to throw in like a black Play-Doh and just have a thin little layer to represent a fire scar, you could do that. If you wanted to have a drought year, then you could do a thinner layer than all of the rest. And then students can make inferences. Why is that one thinner on the spring growth than all of the rest? And then you could go as many as you want. I typically like to do at least 10 years so they have more to look at. Okay, so here I have the modeling clay. You're gonna see as I go that it's definitely harder to get stuck up in the straw. Sometimes if you push and drag out the edge, it will stay up in there better. And also, one thing to note is that as you give these to students, you are really going to have to tell them that they can't squeeze the straws, because if they do, then they're ruined. So they need to handle them gently. Okay, so I have my 2 versions done. Again, I recommend the Play-Doh because it's way easier. This one, just to get that much done, took about 4 times the amount of time with the modeling clay, but I just wanted to let you know there's another option if you wanted to use them again year after year. The last thing you're going to want to do is with a Sharpie, label one side P for pith, that's the inner part of the tree, and then the other end of the straw you're going to put a B for bark, so students know which side is the pith layer and which side is the bark layer. So P for pith, B for bark. And there you have it. If you'd like to check out reference sheets, background readings for students, lab worksheets, and teacher directions so you have this handy, be sure to check out the link below. And if you want more videos like this, hit subscribe.